Well, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Dropping Into Happiness. We are your hosts. I am Rachel.
And I'm Maggie.
Welcome, SunDrops. We are on episode 71, getting closer and closer to that 100 mark. I almost said $100. I don't know why. And I was just telling Maggie, I got to start writing down all of our quotes, man. I'm excited for that. So, if anybody didn't catch that last week, a listener recommended, which I swear I'm going to go back and see the names. So I want to thank her personally. So for the 100th episode, I'm going to try to have every quote that we have ever laid out on all 100 episodes on one PDF. So it might be kind of small. I might have to do 2 pages, maybe, but I want it to be a downloadable PDF for anybody who'd like to have all of the quotes on hand. I just thought that was such a fantastic. It's like a little gift that we're giving everybody for sticking around for 100 episodes. So I'm excited. I told Maggie, though, I want to frame that. I think that would be super cool to have framed in my house, just as, kind of a momentous thing. I don't have any real big announcements, but I do want to say something that I haven't said in a little while, because I feel like I don't want to say it often because I don't want to sound like a broken record. But guys, we cannot thank you guys enough when you comment on our YouTube channels, when you give us that star rating on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes. Like, that helps us get seen by more people. That helps us keep doing what we're doing. That helps rank us in a certain way. It's helping us get seen by advertisers, which is going to help turn around to get us more funding for the things that we do. And thank you. I mean, it doesn't take that long, I know, but just the fact that you guys take a minute to do that, to give us a star rating, to give us a review, which I love reading you guys' reviews. They are always so fun. And now, Maggie, I think we have at least 2 reviews from people that say, I love that you don't use foul language. And that just, I know, I'm like, I love that that's something that sticks out for them. Because, I mean, we've never discussed like, oh, we're not going to swear. It's just who we are. Like, that's just how we talk.
Right, yeah.
It's just not in our lexicon. So yeah, so I'm glad that that's something that is
In
helpful.
full transparency, I do cuss off camera and out of the classroom.
Well, I mean,
but it's not a consistent part of my vernacular. Sometimes it does feel good to release a bomb, if you will, a word bomb.
What was I looking at on Instagram the other day? And it said, when you want to swear but can't for some reason, what's another word you use? Because I don't know if I've said it on here, but I'll say cheese and crackers or cheese and rice. Mm-hmm. Like, I say that one. Is there any one that you say around your kids?
Well, I say sunny beaches, and I say the SH 4-letter word, but I say it in German around my students, and they'll still be
like how it sounds better in German.
Yeah, and they'll be like, Miss Smith, and I'm like shiitake mushrooms. Yeah. It's like, they're like, no. We have a rule in my tenor bass choir that if you cuss, you have to do 25 push-ups. So I really try to avoid it at all costs, because then they have made me do push-ups.
Hey, as long as you're still following the rules. Yeah, follow those rules.
Right, but I'm like, don't feel like doing that in a dress.
What was that gum? And it was the not Mentos, but it was like a fresh maker. And so the entire commercial was them insulting each other without using swear words.
Oh yeah, you lint liquor.
Yes, and I love when she goes, "What the French toast?" Like,
yeah, that commercial was iconic.
Oh, it really was. We got to bring that one back. That one's so funny. But yeah, so roundabout though, thank you guys so much. Every time you give us those ratings, those reviews, and just comments, like literally, listener Rebecca commented on last week's episode on our YouTube, and it genuinely made me laugh so hard. I screenshot it and I sent it to Maggie, and then I said it to somebody at work. I am a nugget. If you want to know what I'm talking about when I say that, go to our YouTube, Dropping Into Happiness YouTube channel, and go to last week's episode. It was so funny. Rebecca, you cracked me up. Maggie, do you have any announcements today before we hop on into our topic?
No. I just echo everything that Rachel said, and I will say, did I say this already? That I got 4th out of 14.
Yes,
and did I say that on the podcast?
Yeah, you did.
Is that already? Okay, wow. So yeah, I guess I'm still riding that wave. But I will say, in terms of my Weight Watchers journey, because we're not really going to touch on this in the topic, but I just want to like speak it out into the universe. Like, I was really struggling this week with my food choices, and I think it boils down to the fact that I did not go grocery shopping. I just didn't. It was a really busy weekend, and then it turned into a really busy week, and I just never made the time or took the energy to go to the grocery store, and it showed.
Isn't that funny, that one tweak in your schedule, what it can do?
And then how it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, y'all. So, and I was like trying not to beat myself up, and then I would beat myself up and then be like, no, don't do that. And then I would beat myself up and be like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
And then today was the last day of school, and we had a full day of school. We have half days next week, but this was like our last day for our seniors and all this. And like,
oh yeah, you lost
in
your
treats.
senior TA. I saw that.
Oh yeah, I made a TikTok. I'm like, no. Yeah, so I just had like a lot of sweets like early in the day, and then I was just like, oh gosh, Maggie, are you ever gonna lose the weight? It was all the drama. So anyway, if anybody out there is feeling like that, you're not alone. And we just got to make the next best healthy choice. So I guess that's my PSA for the.
Yep, tomorrow's a new day.
It's like, dang, struggling.
Oh, I can't, like, I know my kids have, let me see, where are we? Maybe 2.5 weeks of school left. I can't believe that. And my kids are in an alternative high school, so they earn credits differently than a standard high school. And my daughter's literally almost done. And she was she's like, I don't know if I'm prepared for that. It just,
it's like slow down there.
They work for it. And now that it's here, she's like, wow, that came up fast. Like, she just was not expecting that. Like, she's like to be just done and to not have to go to school anymore should she choose not to. My son wants to do kind of trade school stuff, and I love that. I 100% support that. He's always talked about being a mechanic. I'm like, awesome, bud, be a mechanic. I support you. But she's very like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to go. So it's a lot. I mean, it's an honor for me to be a part of that phase in her life. You know what I mean? Because I've been there too. Right. But to be there to support her, to kind of see this growth in her, this is a big step for them. And you see that probably every year. You get to be a part of these kids' journey into adulthood, essentially. And that's got to be cool to see.
Right. It's such a humbling thing to think, like, because I still think about some of my teachers from high school, and I graduated 12 years ago now.
I will not state how long ago that I graduated.
I know. I always like try to act cautious when I feel like I'm, being ashamed of my age or something, but
it's not.
But it's just funny. It's not shame. It's like, holy cow, that went by so fast. Like, they say I remember when I was little and like, the days are long, the years are short. I would hear that phrase and I'm like, yeah. And then like, life goes by so fast, but it felt like eternal, like back in the day. And now I'm like, 12 years. Like, what? And then even like the seniors that I had this year, they wore like an outfit on the first day of school. Like they made these like t-shirts and tank tops that just said seniors. It was like red solid tank tops, and they had just drawn seniors in white paint marker or whatever. And then they were wearing crowns, and they were just they decorated their crowns, and it was like a thing. And today they all wore those same shirts that they wore on the first day of school, and I was like, whoa. I remember that day like it was yesterday, and it's a whole school year ago. Like, it's just crazy. And so it's always a bittersweet feeling because like I just love where I'm at and I love life, and it's like, no.
I know so many things to see. Like, my daughter was saying this morning how she's like, oh, I've made so many mistakes. And I was like, no, you haven't. And she was like, yeah, I have. And I was like, no, you haven't. And she was like naming off things. And I was like, baby, did you know about that before that happened? And she's like, no. I was like, you're not making mistakes. You're learning.
You are talked about learning. That last week.
Yeah, you're learning. You're growing. You're advancing. Like, that's not a mistake if you didn't know. But now that you know, you've learned. So yeah, her and I literally had that conversation this morning when I was making breakfast. That's funny. Yeah. Okay, well, moving into this week's topic. I know, it just sidetracked, man. That kids. Okay, so today, okay, just right off the bat, this is a listener request. Mary G, shout out to
what up,
listener Mary. I feel so bad. You asked for this topic probably a couple of months ago. So hopefully you're still listening. But I thought it would be a good time frame for this one because we're getting into, obviously, like Maggie just said, summer. A lot of people are going to be going on, maybe family trips, things like that. So listener Mary G says that she travels for work a lot and wanted us to discuss handling social events as well as travel. Her travel tends to be like 5 to 10 days. I don't know if Maggie or I we don't, that's not common for us, but we will discuss kind of what we do when we travel, because like my mom lives in Montana, some of my best friends live in Texas, so I'm kind of all over the place too. So do we want to start with maybe, I was thinking maybe a struggle that we see with social events and then how we handle that struggle, like how do we approach the struggle? Because I feel like social events can be tricky. They can definitely be very tricky.
It definitely depends on the social event for me. And I feel like the idea of handling social events versus handling travel and like being away from home for 5 to 10 days is a different, it's like two separate things where there's some overlap, but it's like
I think her social events are during the travel.
Happening
like,
at the travel.
It's like work travel. And so
double
she has
whammy.
social events. Yeah. I think that's kind of where it was. And I'm like, oh, dang. Okay. Okay.
The struggles,
let's break it down.
The struggles are quite, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to them. The proximity of higher point food choices.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be there, and they're going to be close, and you're going to be able to see them with your eyeballs. And then the struggle of everybody else not seemingly living a similar lifestyle, in that maybe they're not tracking food, maybe they're not being super intentional with their food choices. And then on the flip side, maybe they're using commentary that is not so balanced or healthy, like, oh, we're gonna start our diets tomorrow, or I'm having trouble thinking of, but we all know those comments as like, oh god, you didn't have to say that right now, or
here
we'll run it off tomorrow, or just like they're not.
You're not at home. It doesn't count here.
They all haven't put in the work of like going to a Weight Watchers workshop or listening to our podcast and learning about like a healthy mindset. So they can say things that can be like off-putting, maybe triggers by chance. So those are definitely I guess we call them red flags of social events. So what about you, Rachel?
Well, the first thing you said though is exactly what I was thinking. It really depends on that social event, but like, so summertime social events, I'm seeing a lot of going to the beach, barbecues, going to the brewery, because we have a lot of small town breweries in my town, and I love it. I love going to mom and pop restaurants. I love going to shops that don't have a second location. Like, I love that. So that's a social event that I would be seeing this summer. But thinking of her travel social events, that's, like you said, double whammy right there. Because first of all, you're not in your element. I mean, you even said this last week. You were in your element, but one thing was off, and that threw your whole week for a loop.
Right.
So being completely not in your element at all, you would have to think ahead for that. And then especially if it's a travel social event, I feel like the one glass half full situational thing there is she probably knows it's coming. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could be called by my sister-in-law today being like, hey, let's go out tonight. And I'd be like, okay, I wasn't planning that, but let's figure this out. But if you're on like a work trip, it's like, okay, this night we have this night we have that, this night we have this. So that would at least be kind of nice to know that it's coming. Maybe you can plan out, if you know you're going to have an event that evening, lean on those 0 point foods. That is 100% something I do. Like whenever I go to birthday parties, because we have 17 nieces and nephews, FYI, we always seem to be going to a birthday party. And if I know there's one coming, because usually we plan that, they don't usually tell you the day of, I will hardcore lean on 0 point foods, breakfast, lunch, and snacks, because I know I want to have a piece of cake, or I don't know what they're going to be serving for dinner. So, and that's not saying, for those who don't do WW, 0 point foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, things like that. Have a big salad for lunch. Have, all these things, eggs. So eggs, chicken breasts, things like that. So I don't not eat, because I know some people are like, oh, I'll just not eat until the party. Yeah, that does not work for me, because then I'm starving by the time I get there and I overdo it. So I cannot get to hungry. I have said that before. I can't let my body get to hungry, because then I make very poor choices. So yeah, if I know the event is coming, no matter what the social event, that's a go-to for me, leaning on my 0 point foods all day, so I have that bulk of my entire day to utilize at that event. Because like I said, if it's, maybe we don't know what they're having, maybe it's a new restaurant that she's going to with a client and has no idea what they serve. Don't be afraid. Just go in, right? Look for things that are grilled. Look for things not cooked in butter. Or remember, friends, you can ask. You can absolutely ask a restaurant, is this cooked in butter? Can I not have this cooked in butter? You can ask for those kinds of things. So those are kind of my go-to things. Definitely lean on 0 point foods. Yeah.
With the traveling aspect, you can bring a lot of your own stuff. Or you can hit up the grocery store when you get there. Most hotels come with a fridge at this point, a mini fridge, usually a microwave also. So if you're staying at a hotel, even better if it's like a condo or someplace where you have like a little kitchenette. That would be #blessed. But bringing some of your own things and controlling the meals that you can control, controlling the snacks that you can control. Now, on the flip side, if you're going on vacation and it's your once a year vacation and you're away from home and this and that, and you're maybe in a place where you get to have food experiences that you wouldn't normally have, what have you, there's some give and take to this, right? It's not it's not black and white. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can track on your vacation, not track on your vacation. You can bring all of your own breakfasts and snacks, or you can eat at the breakfast buffet. Like with those one kind of off experiences, I say live your life, try to enjoy it like within reason. But when you're like constantly going out of town for work, or like just every weekend, I mean every weekend there's something going on, especially this time of year. There's like something, and usually it involves food. So those are, it's like, I think we can use a little bit more like guidelines, boundaries, strategies. I just didn't want to say, all right, guys, like, you have to, if you're traveling anywhere this summer, you have to pack all the things or do this. Is like, no, it's just
no. But like you said, like, it's there's so many variables. Like, where are you going? How long are you going to be gone? Are you staying with friends? What kind of place are you staying at? There's so many variables to this. But like you said, like, one of the things that I think you said that's a big key is focus on what you can control. Can you control the snacks you have? Can you control the breakfast that you have? Because even if, say, because I just, as a wild example, I know Maggie's going to Disney World soon. Maybe if that's something that you're going to do, or like you said, going somewhere, maybe you're going to New Orleans, like a very food heavy place, and you're like, oh, but I don't want to just, like, I'm going to use air quotes, blow it. Okay, well, maybe let's focus on our breakfast and tell yourself every lunch or every dinner, I want to try a local meal. You know what I mean? Maybe that be what you do, instead of every single meal just going all in all day until you feel sick. Be very specific with it. Or look at, like, because like in New Orleans, okay, make sure you have to have a beignet. Make sure, you know what I mean? Like, make sure you have to have those very signature
those
things.
Special
things. Like, don't deprive yourself of those things, but you can be strategic about that too.
Yeah, how I plan to handle our big Disney vacation, because if you all have listened to the podcast, or you know me through social media, I go to Disney relatively often compared to the average person, right? I don't typically go though for like I think we're going Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 nights. Like, that's not mine. And we don't always stay on property. I lived in Orlando for a little bit, but this is different. This is like full blown, like, we're in a vacation. I'm not doing any crazy running. I'm just like going to hang out and have fun. We have like dining reservations, like one solid dining reservation for every day of our trip. So I'm telling myself, like, that's the meal every day that you're going to just let yourself enjoy. And then the rest of the day, like, split snacks with the people in my group. You know, I'm going to bring some of my own stuff, especially for the mornings that we don't have like a breakfast reservation, so that, you know, I can kind of, again, curb the hunger, because you don't want to show up to something like way too hungry. But I'm just going to kind of have the balance there, make sure I'm drinking a ton of water, and I'm going to be getting a lot of steps in. Yeah, so I'll feel like I feel so much better when I'm just in motion, like when I'm feeling very active. So I think part of me, that's why I love Disney so much, is because you get a lot of steps in. You get to be outside. I love being outside, and just like experiencing that energy. But it is like easy to get thrown into the, oh, like, well, I'm at Disney, like, whatever. But it's like, okay, Maggie, like, you're gonna be back again in a couple months. Like, if you say no to this today, like, it's gonna be there when you come back. A lot of the food anyway. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm going to be tackling that, is that one meal a day, but still eating just like lightly with other, you know, splitting things with other people, and being a little bit more selective. But I did like a conference back in January that happens every year. So the first year I went with the school that I work at now, I didn't realize we got such a nice hotel set up. Like I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a whole kitchenette in here, and I had already brought some of my snacks, but like when I went back this past year, I knew what I was getting myself into. So I brought so much, like, full-blown meal prep, and I like stocked up my kitchen with all the snacks. I brought my microwave silicone popcorn popper. Like, it was a whole thing. I brought the cooler with the drinks, like, and I handled that conference so much in a way that gave me so much more peace than the previous time. So that idea we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, of like the learning process. I didn't know that my hotel was going to be so in a position where I could have done all of that. I didn't, you know, and I didn't realize like how I was going to have to be eating out all the meals while I was at that conference, you know. So it was like a really cool learning experience. And now next year when I go again, like, I'll be even more prepared for stuff like that. But I think, you know, we're mentioning controlling the things you can control. Sometimes when we're like, oh, I'm going out of town, or I'm going to be out of my routine, or, oh, I'm just like really busy this week, looking at, okay, just taking a breath and writing things out, like, what is in my control? Because like, you know, what isn't? Are there certain meals where it's like, I gotta be there for work, I gotta be around this environment, like, and then what's going to be important to me in that setting, versus like, what can I actually control? Because like, I don't have to go through the drive-through on my drive up to this work event, or I don't have to get the ice cream at the Walgreens, you know, and take it back to my hotel at nighttime. Like, I don't, whatever those little things are, we don't have to do those things. Like, we have a lot more opportunity to control the situations than we might think that we do. So I think like just taking a moment before you go to like have a debrief session with yourself.
Well, and even like maybe helpful. You know you're going to have meetings all day, or maybe you're going to be sightseeing all day. Y'all, bananas and apples hang tight really good in backpacks.
They do. They'll get a little funny. The banana might go a little crazy in the coloring.
Depending on how you put it in there. But like trail mix, Built bars, like just like your favorite protein bar, all sorts of things that you can kind of keep on you as like a little stash going in there. I think that's always a good idea too. I almost always I leave in the morning with the banana in my purse. I know that's weird. I'm that weird lady. I have the most random things in my purse. There's almost usually always a banana. But yeah.
Which is like, you know, this week was bad. I don't think I've eaten a single banana. Not bad as in like I'm a bad person, but like, you know, it's real. If I didn't even go to the grocery store for bananas, like, whoa.
I ran out of grapes midweek, and I was like, I have to have my grapes. They were out of grapes completely. I was devastated. I mean, I've been having strawberries, and they are very yummy, but I'm a grape breakfast eater. That's I want to have my grapes for my breakfast. But I think our major takeaway from travel, from events, is focus on what you can control. I think that's just Like you said, Maggie, write it out. What can't you control? How can you bring control to the situation? Just look at those little things, you guys. And like we said, allow yourself, especially if you're in a situation, someone's turning 21. Okay, have an extra shot. If you're going to somewhere you've never been before and they have some awesome stuff, go ahead and have that crawfish boil. There are things in life that do not need to be passed up, but there's another sunrise tomorrow morning, and there's a new day. So many opportunities. Celebrate the decisions you do make. Remember, at the end of every day, there is always something to be grateful for. Think that out. Write that down if you need to. Say it out loud. I've been making my sister practice the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with me, which I love that one, just to kind of center herself back at the end of the day. So that's been really fun to do with her. And I think we're going to try to teach my niece, just because, I think it could be fun.
Yeah,
if anybody doesn't know the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'll put that in the show notes. My absolute favorite technique that I learned with WW. But I hope Mary got some ideas from this, because I think just talking them out sometimes is what can spark ideas. And that's why I love to just kind of bounce things off of Maggie when you guys have ideas or questions for us. Remember, guys, send in those questions, send in those topics that you want us to talk about. I'm already laying out June, and I already think Madison, our friend Madison from Health Never Ceasing, is going to come back in July. But if you guys have any questions, any topics you want us to talk about, reach out. There's so many ways you can contact us. Maggie has an Instagram. I have an Instagram. The podcast has an Instagram. We have a website. There's an email. Like, so many ways you can reach out. Okay?
We got it all.
We really do. So it is time now, though, for our goals and recommendations. I think you went first the last couple weeks. So can I go first? I have a good one today.
Of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This week, a girlfriend of mine introduced me to a new author. So I like reading. I really do. I enjoy fantasy. I love murder mystery, my absolute favorite. But this is more in the psychological kind of thriller drama. And I started it Monday night, like at 8 p.m. And I was done with it by Wednesday night at 8 p.m.
Ooh, I could not
put it down. So I want to start the second book of that series, but now my mom and my sister are going to read the first one. So they want me to wait till they finish the first one so we can read the second one together.
Well, what is it called?
So it's called The Housemaid by Freida McFadden.
I have that I have that on my standby. I have it downloaded on my Kindle.
I could not put it down. I could not put it down. And so I want to read the second one. Because there's The Housemaid's
I didn't realize
Secret.
it was a series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's only 2 in it. So The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. And I really want to read the second one. My mom's like, wait. She has so many to choose from, though. So I also downloaded The Inmate, which is my other friend's favorite one by Freida McFadden. So that's the one I'm currently reading. So my goal this week is I'm going to finish The Inmate. I'm going to make sure in the evening I take at least, 15 minutes minimum just to sit down and read and decompress at the end of the day, because I do like to do that. It feels good. I sit down. Usually I'll take a shower so my hair is wet and I'm just like curl up in my PJs with my Kindle. My Kindle, aka my book. So that's my goal. I like it. And so then my recommendation is, though, if anybody likes to read, check out a Freida McFadden book.
Yes.
So good.
Gosh.
So good.
I'm so excited that you like it, because I have it on my Kindle already downloaded, and I'm a huge reading girly. Those of you that have listened to you know this. So I totally relate, because I'm reading a book right now that I can't stop thinking about, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. Like, the quality of writing is not great, but the story has a chokehold on me. It's a sequel so I read Things We Never Got Over, and now I'm reading Things We Hide from the Light. For anybody that's curious, I go back and forth between like thrillers, psychological kind of stuff, and mysteries, and like really, really like cheesy romance smut.
I have read almost every Nicholas Sparks book there is, other than like the last
I didn't realize like how PG those books are. Like, I remember reading them when I was younger, being like, ooh, but like now, if you compare them to like some of the things that kids are reading nowadays, I'm like,
oh, I know.
Oh my lord. Anyways, did you say your recommendation was to read that?
Is to check out a Freida McFadden book.
My goal is to sit down this weekend and plan out this week in terms of when are you going to the grocery store? What are you eating? And when are you working out? like the basics, because I really let this past week get away from me. I haven't had a week that felt like this in a long time. And so I'm just like, girl, sit down and figure out your life. Because again, when you think like, oh, I'm busy, oh, there's so much going on. And then you just kind of get into this like echo chamber of that, rather than being like, no, really, actually, you have a lot of time that you could have used to strategize or whatever. So that's my goal. And then my recommendation is, if you're like me and you feel like you have a busy summer, or just things that are coming up, travel, work, vacations, this or that, look at the month and count how many meals are actually 100% within your control. Just count them and compare them to the number of the meals that are not, maybe like for an event or what have you. And then just kind of take that information before you make your next step, because it might surprise you.
Right? I love that. We've talked about that during the holidays too. Like really during October, November, December, there's maybe 4 days that are going to be much higher points, much higher food intake days. And we stress out about it so much. But really, I mean, look at all of the other days around that we do have control over. So there's a lot more control than I think we realize sometimes, and we let it get to us. So, all right. Well, what is our closing quote today, Maggie? Maggie has a good one today.
Yeah, from the Michael Jordan. Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it.
I like that. I feel like athletes have some really good ones because they've been through so much. They just push themselves and push themselves. So I like to hear that perspective sometimes. So very cool. Well, I think this was kind of a fun one. Like I said, getting into that time of year where I feel like we're going to have a lot more travel and events, things coming up. So I'm glad we talked this out. But all right, guys, I got to say it. Thanks for dropping by.
Have a magical day. Bye.
Bye.